to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today's episode is a tiny bit different in the best way. I'm not the one hosting the conversation. Today, I'm the guest. Over the years, I've had the privilege of being invited onto some incredible podcasts, conversations where with that host, we've dug into business, mindset, leadership, and the real lessons that I've learned from decades in this industry. So in this special crossover series, I'm sharing with you some of these episodes from other podcasts brought here to my podcast feed. These are powerful conversations that often offer a different lens, because when I'm in the guest seat, you might hear different stories, different angles, and new insights that don't always come up when I'm the one asking the questions. And you know what the bonus is? If you like what you hear in this particular episode, I highly encourage you to check out that host's show, right? So you might like more of their episodes, and we will link their podcast in the show notes and more about them as well in the show notes so that you can now begin to learn from them and their brilliance as well. All right, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I enjoyed having it.
Hello and welcome back to The Sweet Spot. And oh my gosh, are you going to get fired up on this one? I sat down and talked with LuAnn Nigara, and all of her credentials and background, I'll read her bio at the end of the episode if you care to hear those. I think it's more important about what she talks about as a business owner, and she has such a great energy about her. I just love talking with her. About the 25-minute mark, there is an analogy in there that I absolutely love and have not heard of before. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and if you listen to this and took away a good takeaway or have something that you want to share, please be sure to tag us both on Instagram so we can say hi and enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Small Business Sweet Spot. I'm your host, Barb Davids, website marketing consultant and SEO strategist. In today's bonus episode, I'm chatting with a fellow business owner to bring out their best tips, tactics, and tangible strategies for helping you grow in business and life. Hey, LuAnn, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm great, and I'm looking forward to this conversation so much, and I appreciate you inviting me here to your podcast, Barb.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I have a lot of questions for you, but we'll see where the conversation goes. I am excited to share your wisdomness, to learn from you, and then also to share with my audience. And as I was going through your website, there was a phrase that really stood out to me, and I would love to hear more about it because it sounds interesting. And it is, I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah. Excellence is a decision. So I would love to hear more about that.
Okay, well, thank you for picking up on that. I just, in my experience, I'm in my own businesses, this is my second iteration of business in 42 years. And I know it's a decision to be excellent. I know that we often say, oh, we're going to be really good at this. We're going to be the best company that XYZs. But then we kind of get up every day, and some days we do just good enough. And the difference between doing good enough is the decision to be excellent. And so therefore, I really believe that excellence is a decision. I believe that if you have the passion for an idea and you have some skills and innate talents in that passion, and you surround yourself with people who can help you maximize and leverage your skills and talents, then you can really craft a powerful business. But at the end of the day, you still have to decide to show up and do all the things, whether they're the things that you know innately you should do or the things that, a business expert like yourself, like you help people maximize their SEO, right? So
Mhm.
you can give somebody the tools, the plan every single day, but they have to decide to do it. They can't say yeah, but. And I love to meet entrepreneurs who are yes and right? Yes. And I decide to do this. Yes. And let's do this to the best of our ability. And yes, what else can I learn to make it better than the day before? So that's kind of where it's rooted.
That is a great
Explanation.
that is a great explanation. Holy crap, that would not come out of my mouth whatsoever. That was so funny. That was a very weird feeling on top of it.
Yeah.
I think there was also some talk about like how to implement effective systems. So I wonder if you could share maybe some of the things that you've implemented in your business, in your life to be able to say that excellence is a decision.
Well, okay, so I'm going to take a step back because I think you
Okay.
might be looking at, like, in other words, I have a keynote presentation that I give that's called "Excellence is a Decision," and basically, what I have put together is what I believe to be the three keys to effective leadership. And the first key to effective leadership is understanding your mission, vision, values, right, and establishing them, writing them, living them, understanding them, bringing them all the way through all the aspects of your business. The second key is establishing your systems and processes and making sure that you know how you do the things you do in your business and you do it the same way so that you can deliver an exceptional result to every client that you work with, not just one every fifth one because you aren't clear on how you do it. You know how you do it. And then the third key is that decision to be excellent. So that's where that comes in. It's like,
Gotcha.
obviously there's 20 things, 50 things that make a great leader. But I feel like if you have to boil it down to three, the leader knows the mission, vision, values of his or her own company and is able to express it not only to the people that work for him, and if no one works for him, to the subs and the subcontractors or to the potential consumers, that leader has established process and system for their business so they can deliver an exceptional result every time. And that third, they actually decide every day to do the things they know when it's easy to do it. It's when the things are hard that we let the decision to be excellent slide. So,
Mhm.
and I think that's the differentiator between super well run, well led companies versus kind of sometimes, all right, maybe okay companies.
Right. Those are some great ones. I think some of that, the first two keys are so important for that third one, right? Because if you are going to make an action or a decision, if you don't have the answers to those things, you're like kind of flailing about. So you can't
That's right.
do the action.
Yeah. They're all intertwined. You can't
Yeah.
do one without the other.
Yeah.
You just can't, you know. It takes all three. It takes lots of things, as I said, but it does. I think those are just so at the core and essence of leadership and having a powerful company.
Yeah. And all I know you have, and I'll talk about this in your bio and put all the links in the show notes. You have some books, some multiple businesses. I'm curious to know about the strategies that you've used to attract your clients. So as the service-based ones over the years, did they differ? How did you think about it? How did they evolve? Just kind of all of that stuff.
Well, I mean, for many years we had a brick and mortar business. So that was professional window covering and awning retail business, right? So the strategy for clients do that at core, it's being very clear on who you are, what is the brand company, and who is client that should be calling. But it gets a little bit easier because you've got different ways to got the you can make it like a paint shop or you can make it look like a high-end drapery retailer, right? It's very this is not a discount shop. That's not, hey, we're not just going to walk a box, from a shelf. And so, but when we transitioned, I started this company, Nigara Inc., the podcast and the LuAnn University and the books and different things. There is no place to visit, right? So I think it's truly important, again, that you start with your mission, vision, values. Who are you? Do it. How do you what is the essence of your brand in all the ways, and then it's critical that your website express it. that it is so clear, because that is essentially the brick and mortar that every potential consumer will now use to vet whether you're an interior designer, you're a wedding photographer, you're an event planner, you're a website developer. It's the drive-by that you used to do back in the day and say, do I think I like that restaurant? I don't know. Let me go see what it looks like, right? And so I think a lot of people forget that. And more than that, there's also a lot of business owners that don't forget it, but they don't take the time to really have like the second, the third, the fourth set of eyes that says, this is what I stand for. Does this website show that? And I mean, I see it with designers all the time, and window treatment all the time. They say they're luxury, they say they're full service, but then, on the website is a listing of all of the ways that a consumer can engage with them other than full service. Like, you can buy 2 hours, or they can buy a paint consult. And all of these things are great things to do. But we're saying over here, full service luxury, hey, leave it all to us. And then we're like, and if you just want the paint, 2 hours for that. So, and all of it can be managed, but it needs to be managed carefully and with thought, so that it doesn't confuse our potential consumer on their journey of getting to know us. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what kind of marketing do you use typically? I'll just leave it open like that.
So, I mean, for the non-brick and mortar business, it's email, it's growing your email list. That's like number one is email list. It's lead magnets on the landing pages, right?
Okay.
So that, if something like an Instagram post or a LinkedIn post works, great. Let's get them over to the website. Okay, let's get them onto the email. And, ultimately I think that's the goal, right? You want to build that email list, right? I can, I got 20 something thousand followers on Instagram, and there's 40 people talking to me. Like, who are we kidding? It's like the silliest concept ever. It makes me crazy, right? And I'm like literally constantly saying to my team, we have more meetings about what to post on Instagram. Meanwhile, we have 10,000 actual live bodies on an email list that put their hand up and that are there, like they're really there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like to, for me, for my particular business, live events and email is the top of the fun. Like the live events and so the lead magnets and things like that are the top of the funnel. And then you hopefully they will buy a book or they listen to the podcast. Of course, the podcast is at the top of the funnel as well. But you get them into these things that maybe resonate with them here and there. And so for, designers, it could be, blogs. You could have, you don't have to do it once a month, but something that shares your expertise and your passion, same with wedding photographers or something. It's like the tips and the things that people go, oh yeah, I didn't know that, and draw you in. And then once you get them there to that email, now you're continuing and hopefully educating and giving them value that they want to stay. Right.
Right. So you do live events as one of your top funnel pieces. How did you get into that, or what made you think, oh, I need to try this?
Well, it's a funny thing because someone in the podcasting industry said to me, you need to do a live event. You need to meet your audience. And I was like, that's crazy. What if I do it and nobody comes? like that's you're out of your mind. Like, I'm not doing that. And so the podcast was turning a year, and I happened to be interviewing someone who was sent to me by a PR rep in New York. And I had had one or two conversations with the PR rep, and he was a super nice guy and super easy to talk to. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to ask him. And I said, what do you think about like doing a live event? I said, the podcast is going to turn a year in 2 months. And he's like, oh my God, I love the idea. We'll get a showroom in New York to host it. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, we will. And I was like, do I write them a check for all the food? He's like, no, of course not. He goes, you're going to bring interior designers. Their showroom that's going to be amazing. Well, Barb, we started planning that, and we did about 4 weeks of planning, and I was like literally on pins and needles. Is anybody going to come? Is anybody going to come? Oh my God, is anybody going to come? And I think I would have felt better about it if I was paying the bill. You know what I'm saying? And we ended up having like 140 registrations and over 100 people show up. And I was like, "Oh, see,
That's
here's
a
where
good
we are."
turnout.
Yeah, it was great, and that's when I really started to meet my listeners in person, and I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, you're actual humans out here, and I like you, and you like me, and we like the same things," you know? And
Yeah.
then, of course, my industry, the interior design industry, I honestly, Barb, you can't throw a dart at the calendar and not find an interior design event in this country. Like there's somewhere,
I imagine.
somehow,
Yeah.
something is happening because other industries aren't the same. But, certainly I know that a lot of the creative industries do have at least one or two or three conferences a year. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like I would think event planners and wedding planners, and you know what I mean? There's conferences. And
Mhm.
so, you know, if you go to the conference, of course, maybe put yourself up to speak, but of course, you're going to be speaking to your peers, right? So that's not your target consumer. But
Oh,
maybe you meet somebody else that you resonate with, and maybe together you find out that, you'll do a live event together. And you know what? A live event with 10 people at it is a success, honest to
mhm.
God, especially depending on what's the purpose. Mine was meet and greet. Mine was literally just meet and greet. Let's cement our relationship. Let's really start this journey of knowing each other as humans.
Mhm.
And of course, 9 years later, I mean, one of the showrooms had a birthday party on my 60th 2 years ago. We had like almost 300 designers show up. It was crazy
How amazing.
fun, right?
Yeah.
So, but like if the point of view of the meetup is to convert to them being a client. See, I'm not trying to convert to being a client necessarily. I'm trying to get you into the podcast and into my world and making sure we're, happy together, right? If you do wedding photography and weddings are a typical, ticket for a weekend wedding is $10,000, do you need more than 5 people in the room and one person to say, "Okay, I'll hire you," for it to be worth it? So I don't know. I think that is the thing. The digital online world, it's tough when you don't have the opportunity to meet your consumers, and not every business it's going to be easy to do it, but I think every online business should spend a good, you know, chunk of brainstorming time to see if it could happen. And then, of course, what happens in my world is I have experts like you that have the opportunity to be at my events, and
Mhm.
now you can meet people. And so there's other events that you can go to that you can leverage, and you don't have to be the one where you can meet your consumers,
Right.
right?
Along that, so you've built up this brand and you get to do the lives and just all the things across the books and the businesses. It is a very strong personal brand. I mean, your name is out there versus maybe I mean your books and business names are out there too, but it's more about your name because you're the person behind it. Do you feel like service-based businesses need to go that route, or what should they ask themselves to be able to know if they should go that route or if they should keep it under a company name?
I think, listen, this reminds me of I had 4 kids, went through high school, right? Went through all the grades, right? But I remember high school. And I remember with each kid had different gifts, different talents, who was good at history, who was good at math, right? And I remember always saying at some point, sophomore year, talking to the guidance counselor and being like, okay, so this one, is it better that we stick this one in an AP math class and he ends up with a B, or should we stick him in the regular math class and he gets an A plus? And literally 4 kids, 90 times I asked the question, and 90 times the answer was, it's really better that they're in an AP and they get the A. Great, thanks, because that's not going to happen. This kid is never going to get an A in math, or this one's not going to get an A in history, right? And so I just feel like that answer for the brand, should it be your name or your company name? It's kind of like that. I believe you know it. I believe you know the answer in your gut. And whatever it is, because it is something you do have to go all in on. I mean, it's so funny because, you know, you don't know me, right? But we know each other a little. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think you would really call me out as like a diva or like a totally self-centered person or something like that, right? I mean,
No.
right? But like it is LuAnn University, right? And I never thought of it until someone said to me, you know, I just want to be you when I grow up. I just want to have the, what? To name a thing my name like that. Like that's just so bad. Like this, right? And I just cracked up because I was like, oh, you know what? I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like the idea is that what was I going to call it? Interior design business university? Like why?
Mhm.
Like, and there's things that feel right, that are
Mhm.
just right. And I think that that is a huge part. And it's what I do a lot of my one-on-one coaching with people is helping you to learn to trust your inside voice.
Mhm.
Because once you figure out the name for a thing, you got to go all in on it. You can't be like, well, that feels funny. Or does that really express? I don't know. Somebody said, I get designers all the time say, I think the trend now is naming your interior design firm by your own name. So when I started 9 years ago, most interior design firms were named a name, like,
Mm.
whatever. And then about 8, 7 years ago, everybody, as they open their business, I'm naming it Sally Smith Interiors because that's my brand and that's who I am. And it makes total sense. And now they're coming back away from it. And I'm just
Mm.
like, do you, sweetie? Please do you. Like,
Mhm.
what feels right to you? Does it feel like it should be, Spokane Interior Design, or does it feel like it should be Sally Smith Interiors? Because I don't think at the end of the day it matters. It matters how hard you go for it and how much you believe in it and how much it feels like you so that you are comfortable talking about it to everybody you meet.
Mhm.
And everybody who meets you goes, well, yeah, no wonder it's called Lou University. She's a lunatic. Of course it's Lou University. What else would it be called?
I don't think they think that.
I love the synergy like LuAnn University. So if you think of Michigan University, it's
Yeah.
MU, right? So
Mhm.
I love the synergy of LuAnn University was LU. And of course, 90% of the people in my world call me Lou. And I was like, well, it's Lou University. That's what's perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Um,
So, along those lines, then, I know that we should probably listen more to what we think and what we feel, but if somebody, what would you give as advice to help someone who is trying to stand out and be different? I know you work with interior designers all the time, and just so this could apply to any service-based business, I'm gonna assume that just it's so some of the industries are so saturated, or it feels like they're saturated,
yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Feels.
yeah.
Feels is the critical word. Don't ever pretend to yourself that, oh my God, there's too many people who do what I do. Okay. Like that's just like, no, right? The thing about it is it does start, okay, being clear on who you are. It's so funny because in my first book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, the very first chapter says establish your mission, vision, values. Exactly what I just told you is one of the first keys in being a good leader. And one time I had this interview with an interior designer, young girl on the podcast. And she had come to one of my now paid live events because I went on to have actual 3-day conferences and, live events and all the things like that. And I had met her in real life. And now I'm interviewing her on the podcast. And what I didn't know when I met her in real life was this backstory that she was telling me on the podcast, because by the time I met her in real life, she was kind of set to what she was doing. But as she's going through the backstory of her, she was in business at this point 2 years. So going through the 2 years previous, she's saying how first she's going to do this, and then she was going to be a stager, and then she invested in staging equipment, and then she decided that she should, do this, and she should be an e-designer, all the different things. And she said, and finally, ultimately, I realized where my lane is, and this is what it is. And I remember, and she's such a great kid. Her name's Laurel. I'm talking to her in the show, and I'm letting her tell me all the story, and all the learning lessons and all the things were so valid and so well earned, and her keep stepping back and reflecting was really good, and I was so proud of the work that she had done. But at one point, I said to her, I said, "But I know you have my first book." She's like, "Oh yeah," and I go, "Did you read it?" And she goes, "Oh, absolutely, I read it." I go, when did you read it? Just? And she goes, oh, no, I read it when I opened the business because I remember her emailing me and saying, I got your book. I'm opening my business. And I'm like, the first chapter is establish your mission for your company, the vision for your company. I said, did you do that? And she goes, oh, no. She goes, I was too excited to get in business. I skipped that chapter.
Oh, no.
And so we both had a good laugh. And I said, you kind of see how that would have helped, right? And so my thing is yes, everybody feels like their field is saturated, right?
Mhm.
But the thing about it is whether it's how you describe what you do for a living, how it's what your about you page says on your website, whether it's what the tagline is on your business card, it's the way you talk it, with your clients about your services. You have to be very clear on what sets you apart, and that is rooted in your mission and your vision and your values. And the thing is that once you have that, then you want to develop that in storytelling, right? So storytelling is critical for standing out in the noise. It's what are the stories around your mission and vision? What are the stories around your core values? Because we can line up 5 core values and another company can have 3 of the 5, right? But even if they had 5 of the 5, the way they interpret it and the way they deliver it and the way they talk about it is going to be unique to them. Why is that particular value of integrity important to you? So it's going to be different than why it's important to me. So you need to, in order to stand out, not be afraid to actually stand out.
Mm.
You see, you have to be fine with this is who I am, this is how I do it. And I don't mean like being obnoxious about it, but I cannot tell you any person listening now that has a website that has an about you page, I want you to read your about you page and I want you to read your homepage. And if your face does not come to mind of you, the people who know you best, when they're reading these words, then you are not showing up as your authentic self. And therefore, you are not going to stand out in a noisy marketplace.
Mhm.
I probably read, let's see, 150. I would say I probably read between 150 and 200 about you, about us pages a year between the 2 podcasts and all the research that I do before I interview somebody.
Mhm.
And literally 80% of them, I'm going to tell you. You could switch Sally Smith for Susie, Jones, and it doesn't matter. And
Mhm.
and then people say, "Oh, my marketing's not working." Awesome. Right. Because, what's the difference between a Snickers bar and a Milky Way? If they're both like great tasting chocolate bars, that's what happens. We write on our website, great tasting chocolate.
Mhm.
It's true, but we stop at the surface truth. And then we don't go deeper and say, why? Oh, well, this one is got caramel and it's going to all dry out and it's going to, and this one's got nougat and it's got nuts. And then here's what people say. Well, what about all the people who don't like nuts? If I put that on my website, they're like,
Right.
then they won't call. Great. We don't want them.
Yeah.
But we understand it in such simple things like Snickers and Milky Way. But
Mhm.
that's the exact same thing with website developers, with, interior designers. We want to know who you are because the ones that like that, like slam dunk, that's my person. That's my person. Let me get a quote from her. Let me get a discovery call with that person. So but you can't do that work. You can't even tell your website developer what to put on your about you page if you don't know what the heck it is different about you.
Mhm.
And the thing is, I get on this such a soapbox about it. Okay, sorry.
Good.
Because most people are looking for these huge differentiators, right? No, it's the combination of probably the normal things about you, but it's that combination. Like chocolate, nougat, caramel, nuts, not all that exotic. But you put them together in 2 different ways, leave one ingredient out, put one ingredient in, you get a completely different candy bar. And that's all we're trying to do. It's like, what are the 3 or 4 or 5, 6 things about you, and how do they come together? Because another colleague has some of those, maybe most of them, but the way they coalesce and the way you deliver it to the world is different. And that you have to express that. You cannot be safe on your website. It cannot be garden variety. Would really love to make your wedding so special. Your wedding
Exactly like that.
photography is going to be
Yeah.
all about you. I'm all about being quiet in the background and just helping you enjoy your day. Well, I'm going to tell you what I want from a wedding photographer because I'm going to tell you what happened in my wedding. I never got a portrait of me in my wedding dress. I didn't get a first look. I didn't get the things
Oh.
because I didn't have a leader who was my wedding photographer.
Mm,
Right? If
mhm.
I'm reading a when both my girls got married, when we're reading web, like, I want a wedding photographer is gonna come in. I know the shots that the mother's gonna want. I know the shots you're gonna want. I'm not gonna make sure that you're over there at happy hour getting twisted and not getting these shots.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be in charge of you, girl. We're gonna get this done. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want the professional to say what their expertise is and not be afraid, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's
Garden
scary
variety is
though.
bull,
That's
right?
part of that's part of the trouble, I think, is it's so scary to actually put yourself out there. And I think a lot of business owners, and I can say this from experience because I've only recently been able to get okay with all the inside stuff. I'll just keep it that way right now. But like, it's so difficult to put yourself out there. And I don't think that I didn't know this going in. I'm going to guess there's a lot of people that don't know this when you start doing your own business, that you really have to look at yourself. And it's very scary. And then being okay with putting out there some of those things that makes you different because you don't want somebody judging you. So you have to get over that crap really fast.
Well, and I hear you, and I have compassion for it. I'm not going to say, so what? Okay. But I'm a kind of a little because once they actually hire you, that guess who shows up? The real you.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, I understand the fear. I'm not going to say I don't. However, this goes back to excellence is a decision. It goes right back to that. You've already decided to open a business. You've already decided to put your flag out there and say, this is what I do. Now, say how you do it. Why do you do it? What are the ways that you do it that are unique to you? And by the way, I don't need you to go research. Am I the only person that does it this way? Just tell me the way you do it. I don't care
Hmm.
if 10 other people do it because there's going to be some overlap in the things that you do, but there's not going to be complete overlap. And the idea is that if you've already decided to have a business, it's what I was saying a few minutes ago, go all in on it.
Hmm.
Do
Yeah.
honor yourself and honor your talent and your passion for this craft or skill that you have. And and then also too, I would say put yourself in the consumer spot. If you're a wedding photographer, go see how you're going to go hire a wedding photographer. I'm going to tell you what, your website, go hire one. Go do the exercise. Google wedding photographers near me. Google event planners near me. And you start to watch your brain just drone out on the same drivel
Hmm.
over and over. We pride ourselves on blah, 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 and we blah, 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 and we
Yeah.
blah, 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 right? There's so many websites that you literally either no name is there at all, right? So even if you are ABC wedding photographers, when I get to the About You page, I want to know Sally Smith comes to wedding photography because of a passion. Her father, was a portrait photographer and blah, blah, blah. Like, why? You didn't become it by accident. What's
Hmm.
the origin story? What is the origin story? And work it in and make me go, oh my God, my dad was also that too. We get each other.
I love it.
Maybe I would have became a wedding photographer because my wedding photographer was so bad. How about that?
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
wrote that on there,
Yep.
it'd be like, you know what? I had such a horrible experience. We kept looking for him. We missed all kinds of shots because when he showed up, he only took the shots that we asked him to take. If you ever looked at my wedding album, it's a joke. It's an
Hmm.
absolute joke. It looks like, the quality of the photographs are great, but there's no story of my wedding in this.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have a single one portrait of me in the dress. Not one. Me
That's
alone.
unfortunate. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah. So if
Um,
I put that out there, I'm passionate. I want to make sure, like, I should be afraid to say that. You don't think that's going to speak to somebody?
right. Yep. That's exactly what one of my clients did with her story. So she was getting married in Las Vegas and she eloped with her husband. And at the time when she did it, there wasn't another company that was doing what she's doing now. So she built a company out, and now it's like one of the top wedding and elopement companies in Las Vegas just because of what she was looking for at that time a few years ago. So
Yeah.
it is all about that. Then I think that's why a lot of us start our businesses that way. That's kind of what mine started as, or like evolved into. I knew I wanted to work anytime, anywhere, but the mission and what I provide as tangibles or deliverables come from what I wanted when I was working in corporate. So I think
Mm.
a lot of us start our businesses for something that we were looking for, that we want to help inherently for whatever reason. So there's a lot of passion behind it from that
That's the
perspective.
core, to me, the beginning of your mission, vision, values, and your about page. That's
Hmm.
the core. Now you pull it apart and you add on it and you tweak it and you figure it out and you get your stories around it. I don't own my previous company, Window Works, anymore. We sold it to my daughter and son-in-law, but I still sit in on the sales meetings and I'm constantly saying to the sales team, what's your stories? What's your
Hmm.
stories? You got to make it memorable. You got to
Yeah.
connect the people to why this company. They have 1,000 options out there.
Hmm.
You know, we provide on time, wonderful service just isn't going to cut it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, good stuff, LuAnn. I want to ask you, from all of this information, what is the one thing that you hope people walk away from with this? With
Really sit in the courage, if that's the word that you need to attach to it, that if you have a passion, a talent, a skill, that the world needs to hear it, needs to see it, needs to experience it, and have the courage to tell us about it. And don't be afraid to. And then decide every day to do it again and again at the best you can. Decide to be excellent.
I love that. Perfect. And where can people find you and get some more good LuAnn stuff?
Well, LuAnnNigara.com is the website, and the podcasts are there, and the links to the books and all things are there. And on wherever you listen to podcasts, it's a well-designed business is the one podcast, and the other is window treatments for profit. And the truth is, like, literally, especially a well-designed business, that podcast, you could substitute website developer, photographer, event planner for interior designer, because it really is a creative business and we gear towards all of these nuances of how to figure out how to stand out in a noisy world, actually.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation, LuAnn. Thanks.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you.
All right, and that wraps up this episode. Stay tuned for more episodes to help your business thrive online. We'll see you in the next sweet spot. Cheers. As promised, here is LuAnn's bio. LuAnn Nigara provides essential enthusiasm, wisdom, and guidance for interior designers and anyone interested in owning and running a profitable creative business. She is a sought-after business speaker on topics ranging from work-life balance to implementing effective systems. In her first book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, an Amazon #1 rated international bestseller, LuAnn provides clear advice and a step-by-step guide for entrepreneurs to start, grow, and sustain a profitable business. In her series, A Well-Designed Business, The Power Talk Friday Experts, LuAnn brings together some of the most dynamic authorities on marketing, social media, branding, pricing, and more to create what is destined to be the go-to resource for designers who want to grow their business. Since 1982, LuAnn has co-owned Window Works, an award-winning window treatment and awning retailer in Livingston, New Jersey. And that's a wrap on another guest expert episode of the Small Business Sweet Spot. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you love the show. You can find all the links to connect with me, Barb Davids, and our guest in the show notes. If you loved the episode, share it with a friend who's ready to thrive in their business. I'll see you in the sweet spot.
Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having Window Works help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.